Well, you know me, I like to dig in. So.
Okay, you dig in. You do how you do. You do you, and I'm gonna do me.
For the dime moves and the lokes, for the 6-4s on spokes, for the OGs that did a dime, came back around on parole, for the homegirls with the scrap game, little homies that gang bang, from Pelican Bay to YA, rearrange your mind frame. Yeah, I know what you been through, shit you had to go tend to. Your mama gave birth on the turf, I know them killers you kin to. This for the lost generation, broke as hell, man.
Lifting weights and I was on swole, they start calling me Big Miz.
Original Stutter Box, East Side 5, who's Pablo Bishop, Mid City Gangsta Bloods.
Kev Mac video, you know this is for sure. Kev Mac video, open your soul.
This is only the beginning.
My name is OG Cutes, Original Magnificent 7, West Side Crip.
And where's your family originated from?
My father's side of the family came from Little Rock, Arkansas, and my mother, her family was born basically, her grandmother came from, I want to say, from New York, back by New York, and my grandfather, he lived up, I believe, by Tennessee. And I don't know how him and my grandmother met, but they met. And my grandmother, she was a 100% Jew. And my grandfather, he was dark as the night, cool iron worker. You know, was the last black man to have a blacksmith shop right within East LA, you know, right off of Brooklyn.
Oh, that's crazy you say that, because once upon a time, that part of East LA was a Jewish neighborhood with Jewish synagogues. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, my grandmother went to the Jewish synagogue that was on Olympic. The one that have the gold dome, you know, right on Olympic. You go straight down Olympic, and you could run into MacArthur's Park.
During the 1920s, there were more than 70,000 Jews that lived in Boyle Heights, and there were about 25 synagogues. Yiddish was heard as often as English when pickled herring barrels lined Brooklyn Avenue, when they could purchase an enormous corned beef sandwich at Canner's, which moved to Fairfax Avenue in West LA. During these times, Breed Street was the center of Jewish life in East LA. The last synagogue in East Los Angeles closed in 1993.
But the funny thing is, she always told me about Jesus and about the Catholics. She raised all of her kids Catholic. So my mother went to Transfiguration, Bishop Connolly, my uncles, they all went to Catholic school. My uncles went to World War II. My grandfather was in World War II, you know, and my father's side of the family from Little Rock, Arkansas, they were straight Southerners. You know, they come from the deep South where there was still Ku Klux Klan and things going on down there. My father was the first one in his family to migrate, and he migrated to Central, over there by 18th Street and Central. And I was raised on 18th and Central. Then my father moved on 52nd and Avalon, which is right around the corner from South Park. I remember playing in Wrigley Field when I was a kid, you know, when the Angels was here.
Los Angeles is home to the original Wrigley Field. In 1903, the Los Angeles Angels minor league team played in this park. In 1921, the owner of the Chicago Cubs, William Wrigley, purchased the team. After the city of Los Angeles declined to upgrade the park, Wrigley decided to move to Chicago and open up a new ballpark. Construction began in 1924. He opened up a new ballpark and named it Wrigley on September 29, 1925. Back here at home, on April 27, 1961, the Los Angeles Angels played their first game at Wrigley Field. They played one season before moving to Dodger Stadium, while their own new stadium was being built in Anaheim. Wrigley Field was used for a variety of events before being demolished in 1969. The site now consists of the Gilbert Park and the Kedron Community Health Center.
I remember buildings that are no longer here anymore. I remember when Memorial Coliseum had the LA Rams with Dink and Jones, Vernon Casey, you know, the Fearsome Folsom. I remember them. Back then I was interested in football. I remember I'd be in this park right here, and I would have Jim Brown's back, and he would be down there playing tennis, and I would be sitting on the grass with my 8, just hoping someone would come and fuck with him.
I want to rewind a little bit. I'm kind of interested in this Jewish background of yours.
Yeah.
When did you find out that your grandma was Jewish?
Well, she told me when I was little. She said that she was telling me about Jesus one day, and I was a kind of kid. I was inquisitive, like most children are, and I said, "Well, who killed him?" And then she said, ignorant part of the Jews killed him. And then I said, "What do you mean by that?" And then she said, "Well, they're the ones who were in power at the time when he had got brought to trial, you know, and they let him out to execution." That's what gets me to this day. You guys all know that I hate the death penalty. I don't like dropouts. But the main reason I hate the death penalty is because the Lord that I worship, he was led to the death penalty, and he was murdered, you know, and nailed to a tree. And now, in this day and age, we still have a death penalty. And now you didn't just recall Governor Newsom because of what? You believe in Trump's lie, the big lie. And now here it is, we in Los Angeles, and the Republicans is trying to sneak in our government and take away our good governor who dismantled the death penalty, something so barbaric that the whole world should still be ashamed of it, but they're not, because this is one of the states that are pro-death penalty. They're not an anti-death penalty. But our governor, he had enough sense to know that he didn't want to do like Arnold Schwarzenegger and stamp a dude's death certificate and just let him die, you know. So
Listen, so what year did your father migrate out here from Arkansas?
My father came out here when he was 12 years old, and he left out here with his first cousin Bubba, and they came out here in the I want to say in the early 50s or late 40s.
So how did the Jewish side of your family take to your grandma intermarrying with some country guys from Arkansas?
Yeah, well, what happened is that my grandfather, he worked on Central, and back then Central was a pretty expensive area to live on. The homes over there on Central were real big. Central had a nightlife, a club life, they had a jazz scene. Central Boulevard was like popping. It was the equivalent of what Crenshaw was in the early 70s, and when they had all the clubs over there, you know, Maverick's Flat, you know, the different clubs people would go, you know, to that venue. In the same way with Western too. So back in these days, my father, he would be on Central in his Mercury, and he would see my mother walk in the Catholic school, and he would always post up and wait for her, and he would flirt with her. They liked each other off the top. And then one day he said, "Why don't you invite me over your house?" And then my mother said, "Well, I don't know. My brothers might not like you. My father's kind of mean." And my dad said, "I don't care. I'll go over there. I'll fight your brothers. You know, I don't care. I want to go over your house. I want you for my girl. I want you for my woman." Because he was pushing up on my mama real hard.
So wait a minute. So mom's was half black, half Jewish.
Yeah.
And grandma was full Jewish.
Yeah. But see, Jewish is not a race. Jewish is a religion. Jews argue about that. So my grandmother, she looked at, to me, my grandmother looked at more like French and Creole looking.
You got European Jews, you got Middle Eastern Jews, and you got North African Jews.
Yeah. And then you got the Hebrews who say that they're part of Judea too, and the Hebrews are black.
I'm just trying to figure out, did you actually go around grandma in the Jewish family, or that was a distant thing?
Okay, this is how it always was. And most families are like this. There's a side of the family that don't like the other side of the family when they have family reunions. And then the kids don't know none of this shit is going on. But as you get older, you wonder why certain people don't show up for certain functions. And then you realize, okay, they don't like my father. or they don't like my auntie, or they don't like that side of the family. So, but there were some people in there, like the kids, we all liked each other, you know, from all sides of the family, the Madisons, you know, and Big Al, the farmer. You know, we would all be going to their family functions and stuff. But like on my grandmother's side of the family, the Jewish side of the family, they would act like prudes sometimes.
Well, it had to be an issue. You got to think about it, because your mom was born during the Jim Crow era.
Yeah.
Right?
But she faced racism too. And the sad thing is that my grandfather faced a lot of racism, but he didn't let it hold him back. So what he did is he got my grandmother to get a loan, and they brought a building, and my grandfather turned that building into a shop, and he hired all of his sons to come and work for him, and he was a blacksmith, and he helped build the county jail. You know, the concrete one, that county jail isn't that old. He helped build that county jail in the 1960s.
So your early childhood was in the low bottoms on the east side?
Yeah, low bottoms. Yeah, my uncles and them went to Jefferson High too. After some of them got kicked out of all-boy Catholic school, they ended up going to Jefferson. My uncles are in the Jefferson yearbooks.
So how many years were you on the east side before you landed on 68?
My father, he moved from 52nd to 68 in 1960. We moved on 68 between Hardell and Denker in 1960.
In 1960?
Yeah, I grew up on 68th Street.
Parole, now I'm back in my city with heart. But I'm older now and see most of the homies is gone.